So Matt has spent the last 2 years recovering from going nearly blind. His first ever piece of design work, this is so cool, was for the Jive Bunny's 20th anniversary. And his cat is called Monster because it deserves it. Brilliant. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Matt.
Hello. Hello. I'm an artist and I work purely in pattern. I draw influences from the worlds of science, nature, ancient architecture and modern technology. If you were to look at my work and try and understand where I'm coming from, I'm trying to study pattern, understand it implicitly, and then replicate it 1,000 times. In many ways, you could call me a technician of repetition. Anything I do now, and anything is the stuff that I love. And everything I've taught myself has been entirely self-taught. The knowledge is out there, just go looking for it. A great source of inspiration for me are the worlds of ancient antiquity and religion. This is the floor of Westminster Cathedral. This is cultural appreciation, not cultural appropriation. I research, I read the books, and respectfully use the patterns I find. The hexagons and triangles that were in the last mosaic are still here now. They're just changed slightly. The crystallographers look for these perfect geometric patterns, and all that nature provides is distortions. And this is how it's resulted in my work. This sits somewhere between the man-made and the crystalline. This was also the last piece of work I was completing 2 years ago when something happened, and my eyes just stopped working. As you can imagine, I'm sure, as an artist and going blind, it's not really helpful. There's a lot of sitting in the dark and swearing. Plans cancelled, lots of pain, medication and hospitals. Also, just if having no information is too bad, having too much information is too much as well. And as my eyesight returned sporadically, I was finding that even a light, a screen, a chink in the curtains was just painful, painful brilliance. And now we're left with pretty much how I see the world now. Swirling patterns that change with every movement of my eyes. Moving shadows of blurs, weird occlusions where I know I'm not seeing what's actually there. Well, I can always tell when I'm not seeing people's faces properly because they look like an angel drawn by Blake with their faces cross-hatched, like in his engravings. It's pretty cool, but it can get a bit annoying from time to time. And speaking of angels, I wouldn't be here without the nurses, doctors, consultants, and one professor of the Hallamshire Hospital and the tens of thousands of pounds of medication the NHS provides. In a very real sense, I owe everything to them and their time. Over the last 2 years, my eyesight has been slowly returning, and over that time, I've had to rely on touch, perception, and memory to navigate. Talk to a climber about touching gritstone, and he'll tell you it's easy. It's gritty. Counting smooth bricks is easier. If you hold a piece of paper and think about it, you can tell which side is raw and which side is printed. If you fold a piece of paper in half, you can run your finger down the edge and see that that fold's exact. Simple techniques make complex actions possible. It wasn't that origami was easier, it was the only thing I could actually accomplish. A logical move, but not one that I even thought about. My eyesight was blurred, it was distorted, but I still needed to create. And origami created a possibility for me to continue working. Words from the artist Max Ernst. I believe the best thing to do is to keep one eye closed and to look inside, and with your other eye, you have it fixed on reality. If you can make a synthesis of these two important worlds, you can come to a result which can be considered to be a blend of objective and subjective life. I've been left a better person for being ill. Somewhere along the way, I learnt how to fold cranes one-handed, which is a totally useless life skill. But precision without sight is amazing and has been a godsend elsewhere. I've had to learn how to box clever to learn new skills to manage, but then also ways to collaborate. This is a collaboration, a new body of work called Rotation. It's working with an amazing coder called Chris Godley, and we've taken a Victorian tiling pattern, taken it back to code, and created an almost endless tessellation machine. Now, remember the crystallographer I was talking about at the start? This is where we take the patterns and actually make them real. Working with Amber Lee McNaught, these patterns are carved into black clay. The patterns can't help but distort when you're carved into such a pliant and textured material. And this is what makes them real for me, makes them perfect. This isn't art for the blind. This is art the blind can understand. By touching one tile and having a brief description, you can see what the entire pattern is doing. The method and the materials are there at fingertips. I hope you've enjoyed this insight into my work. I can promise you I'm far from done yet. Making work in whatever way I can, clever collaborations, using technology, seemingly simple solutions to incredibly complex problems. Going from tiles to full floors, walls, and ceilings. Now, I might be far from well, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the NHS and what they've provided for me. If I was in America, I'd be bankrupt and I'd be blind right now, and that's just a fact. So support the NHS, support nurses and doctors. They've given up their lives for others, and that definitely beats being an artist. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Jones.